It's been bad for the lack of golf, but the wet winter that we've had, I have to look at it from a glass half full perspective. The rest of the golf course has received will certainly enable us to be in the best condition we've ever been in on the 29th of March, which is something, I suppose, going forward. It's been a very strange winter, like we say. Winters are getting wetter, warmer, milder, but it's something we're going to have to face head on, which we always do. And like I say, there's a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel now. So at the end of this, feel free to ask any questions that you may have. It's a very informal, just a bit of a communication rather than a long-winded email. We're just going to try something a bit different. Like I say, what we have done is we've left no stone unturned in any of our winter maintenance this year. The club have certainly put the golf course condition at the forefront of everything this year, which I'll be honest, not many have. So I have to say a big thanks to the management of this club, because without them, we wouldn't be in the position that we are, and we will hit the ground running in a position of severe strength going forwards. Minimal maintenance will be required this year. There'll be a little bit of light top dressing, a little bit of light sort of standard maintenance of aeration, but the bulk of the work's done. We wall-to-wall aerated the golf course in a proper deep manner that we've never really got a chance before. We've been smashing holes in everywhere, right away across the course, very disruptive. But again, let's look at that from a positive perspective. That will pay dividends for years to come. Sand top dressings, we're already up to 80 tonnes for our greens already for the year, which again has to be a big positive going forwards. Woodland Management, we'll start with that. What have we been doing this winter? For the last 5 years, we've been embarking on a sort of wildlife ecology woodland management plan. And what we are a downland golf course after all. And we've got some aerial footages some images that I can show you later on in this from the 1940s, where we didn't have any scrub out on the golf course. What's happened over the years is areas have crept in unnoticed, and it's just rubbish, to be honest with you. A lot of ivy laden dead material, trees that are dying. So what we're trying to do in our long-term vision is to strip the golf course back to its downland playing characteristics. You need airflow, you need firm, fast running conditions. So part of our winter works of the last few years have been to do this. It's in a planned method. We've got documents on the website that you can look at. So every year we can communicate where we're going. But what this sort of Lulling player has done is really enabled us to get stuck in. And with the help of Dave Bond, one of our members, who loaned us a big digger drive, a 13-ton digger for a 3-week period, we've really taken advantage of that. And I think you'll be very impressed with some of the views and the airflow. And to be honest with you, it's one of those jobs that they may look harsh to start with, but what we will do is come March, April, May, June time, when the grass seeds up and every bit of turf around the 10th green and 11th tee, for example, is a lot drier into the winter, it's a win-win for everybody. So like I say, what we plan to do is balance the habitats out on the golf course. We're very top heavy with rubbish, hawthorn, brash, self-set elder, ivy. So what we're doing is trying to remove that and get it back to more downland grasses, gorses, ferns, etc. The knock-on effect will, like I said before, an improvement probably tenfold of playing conditions of the golf course, which has to be a win, as well as some fantastic views. The 11th hole is a prime example. I've had a couple of guys walk around the course in the last few weeks, and as you approach the 10th green now, you can see everything for miles around. And that 11th tee is the wettest one on the golf course, the 10th green, wettest pocket of the course. I think we're going to do a long way to solving that problem, as well as standing on the 11th now with some stunning views. So that's like I say, part of the bigger picture of what we're trying to do. Wildlife habitats, I know it's not a subject that we take lightly. What my view is that we have a balanced area. We have some areas of rubbish dotted around the golf course out of play. Ultimately, we are a golf course, so we need to keep that at the forefront of the mind, whilst not neglecting our efforts to obviously increasing wildlife, which we are. We've recorded that, and we're massively going the right way. One area that we have done as well, which was last year, which was Melissa embarked on when she won her scholarship, is to do a tree survey. She's a qualified tree surveyor now, so we did that last year, and what it highlighted us to was the fact that we've got a lot of dangerous trees, a lot of dead trees, and that, as we know, we're liable for any accident or anything that's been highlighted on that plan. So the plan is to remove the dangerous ones, which we've now done. There's some ones that are further back, less risk, that will come out in the future. So that will also be part of our plan going forward. But to offset that, there are also lots of plans next winter to plant woodlands up, to improve our hedgerows, to increase more gorse to the golf course, so that we can look in 10, 15 years, we'll look a more traditional downland course, which is our long-term objective, definitely. Ash dieback is something that I didn't really realise until one of our members, Jenny Smith, highlighted a tree to me last year by the back of the 6th green, overhanging the 14th tee. Once the tree surgeon come and looked, he was like, well, that's got to come down. That's a disaster waiting to happen. And the sad thing is, I can foresee in the next probably 5 years, nearly every single one of our ash trees on the golf course will have to be removed. It's happening all around us on the boundaries by the 13th. The National Trust are taking them all out. And sadly, it's to get rid of that, we're going to have to remove many of them, which again is not something that we're taking lightly. But as I'll go through some pictures later on, you'll see every single ash tree we've taken down has had ash dieback this year. But again, nothing we can do about that. There are plans for planting, so it's not just a case of removing. It's everything's done in a balance. Obviously, we've planted some trees this year in some strategic locations. Next year, we'll embark on probably a gorse planting program and take advantage of the areas that we've cleared. So it's a big job, but we could go on forever and a day. But we will get there, and I'm sure when you return that when you play probably June, July time, the differences will be there for all to see. The back of the 4th green is an area now which I think looks nice. If you think back 5 years ago, that was just a mess. You couldn't see anything. All it did was made the green far wetter than it is now, which is actually starting to dry out. So there is a benefit all round, definitely. Sadly, there's been a bit of vandalism on the golf course as we've been moving through the lockdowns. I mean, it does make me laugh that people seem to think they can walk wherever they like. You get kids in buggies on greens we've had, which, like I say, you don't mind. But we did have a spate of vandalism at the 16th hut where it was smashed to pieces. Drugs, paraphernalia were found up there, gas canisters, and unfortunately, the 16th hut has had to be removed. It was beyond repair, and I think going forward we'll have to stay that. It seems to have been the hub of every single bit of damage to the golf course. Mindless idiots get drunk up there at night and go and damage the 15th and 16th holes. So unfortunately, that's going to be the end of that hut, but it is what it is. There's not a lot more we can do. As we look to move forward, the next few weeks is about trying to fine-tune the golf course ahead of the 29th of March. We've got to still realise that we are in the winter. You see some pictures of courses being presented in a nice sunny day, but after all, it is still the 10th of March today. So we'll do it well. Mowing heights I expect to come down as we move through April into May, as they normally would be. So green speeds will be what they will be. What weather will dictate through April, but I can guarantee you they'll be as quick as they can be, as smooth as they can be for the time of the year. And we've got the foundations to really kick us on this year. And I fully expect to provide you guys with the best quality turf you've ever had at this golf club, which is great. Fairways are another area where we've taken on feedback from all demographics across the club, seniors, ladies, juniors, and fairway shaping has not been something that we've moved for quite a long way over the years, from traditional sort of dead straight lines to a bit of shape. And I think now I went around with Matt, our head pro, and we've opened them up quite substantially, so they're a lot wider in places, so they're fairer. Carries have been made longer where possible. They've been toughened up at sort of driving distances. So I hope you'll appreciate the changes that we made to the fairways. I mean, it is only grass; it can go back, but the long-term plan of this club is to be the club of choice in this area, and that little things like that are part of that. If we can get a proper downland-looking golf course with downland playing characteristics, firm, fast running golf course, along with running side by side the tree management, I'm sure we'll end up 3 or 4 years down the line positioned. I mean, we know there's a little bit of work to be done long term in some areas, bunkers, etc., but that's all part of the bigger picture where we want to go, and we're certainly on that track going that way. So yeah, what we will do is we're in a position to hit the ground running like never before this year. And again, testament to you guys as members for your support, and Gordon Streetley environment has allowed us to be able to do that, which is fantastic. What I'll do now is I'll just go over a few images and a few videos, and we'll just talk our way through them. So bear with me while I do this. Well, here you can see this is the new view of the 11th, which, to be fair, I think has made a stunning difference. You see a nice pine woodland now, it's all open, air flowing right around that area. There's an example of woodland management that needed to be done. In that area, we will leave that for ecology. Tree stumps are being left purposely. There'll be log piles for invertebrates, etc. So it's part of that bigger picture that we're trying to achieve. Here's sadly a little bit of the vandalism that we experienced a few weeks ago when we came on a Sunday morning to the halfway hut. Gas canisters everywhere, and it was in that state. So yeah, some people need to really get a life. Here's a little video that Melissa's compiled. What we have been doing is putting a lot of motion detection cameras dotted around the golf course with the help of Paul Rainston, our wildlife enthusiast. And it's a little snippet of some of the little bits and pieces that we're seeing that proves that the work we're doing is certainly starting to pay dividends. There's the new lake, new pond at the 10th tee around that area that's been cleared. A little bit of a muntjac stamping away there. That's behind the back of the practice range. A lot of owls. We've got a lot of owl activity, which is very good. You can see, you might not be able to see that tucked in the tree or on the ground. Muntjacs everywhere. And here's a real bonus. So we've got badgers in the 18th woods, which we've been feeding Maltesers, as you can hear. So yeah, that's a real bonus as far as I'm concerned. Here's an example of the inside of an ash tree. It looks young and healthy down the 18th, but as you can see, the inside of it, black, that's only going one way, and that's dying. And sadly, every single ash tree we found has been like that, which is not good. Here's an image of the 8th now. You can see we've removed the copse of dead sort of material to the left of the ladies' 8th tee. I think it's a massive improvement to the view of the hole myself. But again, we had no choice. 95% of it was dead on a walkway, so it had to come down. There's one of the hawthorns that was alongside the 4th green. It's pretty clear to see that there's half of that's dead, and that's another disaster waiting to happen. Here's a bit of fun as well. Here's an image of the golf club. You can see, if you see my mouse there is the 18th green, and the clubhouse would be situated here. So as you can see, there's the 1st green, 2nd fairway down this area. All of the material that's grown to the left of the 2nd wasn't there. This was 1945. Barely anything, to be honest. There was no woodland or material to the left of the 3rd. So we're not going to go that draconian, obviously, but the downland characteristics have been lost over the years. So it's a bit of a pointer to what we used to be like, which is a fascinating photo. There's a bit of what work's going on, removing the sort of dead rubbish at the 8th. Again, another seemingly healthy tree, which is hollow in the middle, which we've picked up on. Fair play to Melissa and the tree surgeon's advice. We know what we're looking out for now. Make the place safe. More evidence of the mindless vandalism at the shelter, which again, don't know what people do these days. Here's a good overview of some of the changes that we're looking to implement and we've started to do on the fairway shaping. You can see we've mown the runoff areas around the bunkers. This area around the green now is going to be mown a lot tighter than it's ever been. It'll be fairway height, so the real it'll be a tough chip shot. You'll have a putting option, so you'll be able to bump and run around the green, which is how the golf course should be played, in my opinion, and how down golf would be dictated to. So you can see before we've had these sort of teardrops that have the ball stopped up going into the bunkers. Now it will be, whilst they're wider, they're also a little bit more penal to gather the golf balls. You'll see a lot of evidence of this around the golf course. Here's the fourth tee. This is a real bonus project, really. Again, the 3 weeks we had the digger with Dave Bond's operative was a chance of a lifetime, really, that you don't get every day. We've cleared the right of the practice range by a long way to give to Matt Woods and his guys much better facilities down there. We've cleared all of the left of the 10th green, as a lot of you would have seen pre this lockdown 3. And the fourth tee, we're installing irrigation, which we had pipe work in stock from the initial, where we got a lot of free spare parts as part of the original deal. So what we will have is the ability to irrigate and hopefully early spring get some root zone, and we'll look to seed that as we bring it into play. So we've doubled our teeing area on a hole that was getting hammered with divots for next to nothing. So real bonus. Just a little snippet of some of the tidying up going around the golf course. Everything's being blown, mown heights are down at their summer heights pretty much across the course already. Again, testament to the conditions that we're finding ourselves in. So a little bit of an inviting picture there of what awaits your return. And then it's one of the last pictures. We've carried on with our mowing regimes through the winter, demoing a few mowers. Top dressing is all now done. Fertilizer will be going down next week. So things are on the up, and you guys will be out there enjoying the fruits of our labour very soon, hopefully. Very soon indeed.
Well done, Matt. Thank you for that. What I mentioned in the email to everybody was that if you wanted to ask a question, are you still there? Yes.
Yep.
If you all wanted to ask a question, could you use the chat button at the bottom of your screen? Now we are doing good for time, so if we do last for an hour, we've got 40 minutes. I'm sure Matt will be exhausted by that point, but we should be able to answer some of them. So if you'd like to ask a question, so that we don't all talk over each other, if you could use your chat button, that would be appreciated. Hopefully you all know how to use the chat button. Shouldn't be a problem for you, Matt McCleary.
Oh, I can see one here from Mark Vickers. Is there a plan to level some of the tees? Yes, there is. We're very aware that our tees are very uneven. That there are plans being formed behind the scenes as we speak to embark on a sort of a long-term development plan of the course, and levelling tees are part of that picture. There are committees being formed behind the scenes, so it's very early days yet, but there's some exciting developments happening, and yes, areas like that are at the forefront to be addressed.
Can you see the one from Martin Coles?
Yeah. Does Matt have a view about winter wheels on trolleys? Yeah, I do have a view, and to be honest with you, I haven't seen enough evidence either way to make a difference. People use the dimple wheels; they probably grip across the ground a little bit easier. They do make dimples, to be honest with you, but again, it's 6 of one, half a dozen the other. I think a lot of it is down to some of the manufacturers of trolleys just trying to make a little bit of money. So we again, whatever suits you, whatever helps you get around the course easier is what I would advise you use for winter wheels. From Nick Jacobs, do we have a timescale to when the new 4th tee will be in play? Ideally, we can start cracking in the spring, probably April time when it's dried out enough. So we'll probably end up seeding it because the opportunity to grow a tee in from seed is not always presented to itself. Long term will mean a far better conditioned tee, better grass cultivar, and it will withstand wear and tear a lot better than turf. So I would say at the earliest back end of the summer, to be honest. Long term, obviously, it'll be in play for the spring of 2022, but there's every chance that it will be in play. We need to get the golf course rated, and there may be some possible changes from England Golf. So that's all being taken care of behind the scenes. So there's no rush for the fourth tee. It will get built this year, and I say it wasn't even on the radar 3 months ago. It's just a real Brucey bonus. So yeah, the earliest I would guess probably August time. But again, I don't think there'll be any competitive golf from it this year. You might be able to play a few shots, all being well. When will the course be remeasured and reassessed for difficulty after removal of trees, etc.? While it is essential, the opportunity for disaster on a few holes is massively reduced, lost balls, etc. Can the fourth tee be used before it is measured and assessed by England Golf? Yes, the fourth tee can be used for non-competitive golf. So we won't be playing a medal or anything like that off it for a while until it's been remeasured, quite frankly. I would argue that a lot of areas of trees hasn't made the golf course any easier, to be honest, because the right of 18, even though it's opened up, will still be long grass. It will still be tough. I don't think some of the trees like the one in front of the 14th tee, the ivy laden sort of dead hawthorn, all that was doing was really stopping a golf ball going out of bounds anyway. So I think the benefits of the trees being out will be the fact that we can increase the firmness and the quality of the speed of the greens and around the greens, especially with mowing them tighter. So I think any negative impact of that will be negated in and around the green. I think it will just make guys that are not so accurate off the tee enjoy the game a little bit easier, to be honest. I don't think it will affect any of the big guys that hit it dead straight and down the middle. So no, I don't think that will make a big difference, to be fair. Could you please clarify if further definitions will be provided between tee boxes, fairways and current tree lines between holes? In what way to clarify? The holes, I would say, are quite well, when there's long grass and shaping them, I would say they're quite lined well anyway. We don't want to be going down tree lining holes in carries because we are a downland golf course, we're not a parkland golf course. And I think that has to be at the forefront of our mind. There are gaps in trees out 5 and 6, for example, that the plan is to underplant some of those areas to put a little bit more depth in where we have trees, but certainly holes like 15, 16, 17, 18 will remain as they are.
So do we have any further questions? Andy, I see you're unmuted.
Well, I thought, I mean, Matt wants clarification over that. I mean, at the moment, there is no penalty on our golf course for a wayward tee shot if we go down this route. And I think with our slope rating as well, I think Matt McCleary's asked the same question, is in a way, is that I think definition needs to be provided for a bad tee shot. There needs to be a penalty. And I think in a kind of way, I think we've reduced that as well now by what we've done. And that's not a criticism. I just think if we've got a slope rating of what we've got, I think there needs to be a penalty for a bad tee shot or a bad shot.
I would argue there still is, Andy, to be honest.
Okay.
Everything's going to be long grass. Everything's going to be, the roughs will be slightly thicker this year. They'll be. I mean, it's getting a balance of we don't want everyone out there for 5 hours spraying it right, losing golf balls everywhere. And at the end of the day, a lot of the hedgerows that they weren't there in the 1940s, 50s, 60s. And down in golf, you just don't have pockets of rubbish and brash everywhere. And I think that the long grass, certainly in the playing season, you're still going to be chopping out of 2 foot deep grass. So I'd still say it's very penal myself.
Okay, all right. Well, I hope so. And I'm not. It's not. What you do, Matt, is a fantastic job. But let's see. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, no, it will be. I mean, a lot of it will look harsh for the minute because they're areas where there's nothing in. But like I say, the right 11 is out of bounds anyway, so it's not going to make any real difference. All around the 10th area will be 2 foot high grass. You've got to be a pretty good player to chip out of there.
But on your woodland management plan, you talk about removing conifers up 11.
To the left of behind the yeah.
So you got those there. Also on the management plan, you've got removal of the scrub up the left-hand side of 3.
Yeah.
Which penalises a duck hook tee shot straight away. And
but that will be replaced with a properly planted woodland that's actually under control. So you'd have 100 trees in there where you can still. I mean, you go in there left and there's nothing. It's just all dead on the ground. Everything's dying and getting strangled. So if the left of 3, from a golf playing point of view, it won't really make a lot of difference, because that will still be a woodland. That will still be 2 foot grass. There'll be gorse around, so it will still be very penal. It just will look a lot neater than it actually is.
Okay.
The conifers at 7 as well are another prime example of. I mean, conifers and golf courses, they shouldn't be out there, to be honest. They were planted as a barrier. But what will happen is you'll see that there's some trees planted further left of in front of them on 11, and the fairway's now been shifted right. We've done some clearance work in the woods to the right of 11, so the playability of the hole, you've now got a lot easier chance, if you hit the drive well, to have a better shot into the green. So it should negate the need for the conifers to be there. There'll still be people, there'll still be trees down the left. One of the plans is to increase the size of the big pit behind to bring it out into play further anyway. So it's all part of a bigger picture of many things, if that makes sense. We're just trying to get it ready for some developments in the future.
Yeah. And the way we've taken out that area of scrubland on the 8th, where the little lake was, there's nothing going to go back there in its place. Is it just going to be retained, or is it going to be levelled off? That'll be gorse bushes and long grass in there. Yeah, that will be. It will still be a tough carry, but it was all dead. So it will still be. It will be a lot more aesthetically pleasing whilst being penal to a point. But I would argue that 50 yards in front of a tee, if people are hit topping it in there, then it's neither here nor there. Some of the areas where we need to toughen up are around greens and sort of modern bunkering, etc., which is again part of the bigger picture which we're looking at. Okay.
Andy, if I may, just to give you an example of how that's working, with the conifers up the left of 11, as Matt has already explained, we've planted several beech trees in front of it. So strategically, we're not going to start felling trees without actually replacing with indigenous to the area. Obviously, clearly, the Lelandais that were planted are alien to the area, and I
mean, Leylandii trees, even in mine, I mean, just get them out. They're just terrible trees. They're a pain in the backside. They're just not in keeping with the situation.
Always,
I agree.
Always going alongside Matt's ecology plan, his woodland management will be, as he said, replacement of trees as well.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
Matt, you mentioned bunkers. Any particular updates at this point in time?
Well, I think it's fairly obvious that our bunkers, 90% of them are in the wrong position. So what we need to do is set up the golf course for the sort of category 1 player for the modern day, the way they hit the golf ball. A lot of bunkers are way too penal. The front 3 on the second, a prime example, all they do is catch a poor drive, which is doubly penal. And in golf, that shouldn't really be the case. It's why you shouldn't have copses of scrubs of trees right in front of the tee. It's all it's doing is catching the poor player and sort of ruining their game. You've got bunkers across the golf course. We have looked at, myself and Matt Woods and Martin. So we've got some plans in place. We're aware we need to reposition probably 80% of them. We can probably make 10 or 15 redundant straight away, really. Again, front of 7. Again, all they do is catch a poor drive. So we're aware that our bunkers, they're there for 70s golf. The game's moved on, and it's part of the longer term plans, and it's certainly part of the bigger picture that needs addressing in the not too distant future, to be honest with you, Mike.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions that we've got by the chat room? And so if there isn't, Matt and everybody, I think that that's it. I think it's been really useful and really useful for you, Matt, I think. Would you say so?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's great that members are we're engaging. Any feedback is positive. Any comments I welcome with open arms. Like I say, I think you can see what we're trying to achieve in tough times. There are plans behind the scenes to really move us forward. Exciting plans, to be honest with you. And I think that we're going to be in the best agronomical condition we've ever been in this spring. And thank you to the club and their management and you guys as members, because without you, we would not be in this position. And I can honestly say we're probably 1% of the country that will be in that position come the 29th of March. So we've got a lot to be grateful for. It's been frustrating, I'm sure, for you all, but we've got to look at the positives and we've got to look to the future. And I think the future could certainly be a rosy one.
Brilliant job, Matt. Brilliant job.
So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to say thank you for your support for the club over the last year. It's been one heck of a year. And as the captain says, it's been one hell of a year to be a captain. I thank you all for your support. That's the most important thing. And we look forward to another year of great golf. So thank you. And I will post this for everyone that wasn't here. So thank you very much.
Well done. Well done, Matt. Well done, Martin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Well done.
Yeah, I'll leave you to it. I don't know how that's tied up.
Well done, Martin.
Thank you.
Cheers.